Hello chess friends and welcome to your Zard of Chess channel and welcome to the strongest chess tournament in the world. Welcome to the TCEC Season 26 Premier Division that you can follow now on the official and beautiful TCEC website. So the Premier Division is a tournament of 8 top chess engines, and the best 2 top engines are of course then playing in the TCEC Season 26 Super Final. So far, as I'm recording this video, after 29 rounds of the Premier Division, the leaders of the top event are the Stockfish engine and the Lila C0. Both of them after 29 rounds have so far 19 points. It's worth to mention that the only chess engine that has not lost a game so far is actually Lila C0. Lila played only draws and only winning games, and also Lila C0 is the only top engine that has won a game with the black pieces, which is really crazy. Usually in this computer chess world the games are ending with a draw and also of course with winning games by white, but Lila C0 has gained now an extra point with the black pieces, so Lila has to also play some reverse games, so it's a huge opportunity for Lila C0 to finish on the first place in the TCEC Season 26 Premier Division. And also what's worth to mention that the third best engine so far in this tournament is actually the Berserk chess engine. Usually in some other computer chess championships, in some other TCEC competitions, we have seen the Dragon engine, the Tor chess engine. Also in some other computer chess championships, Lilienstein for instance was the third force. Now the Berserk chess engine is slowly but surely becoming the third force in the computer chess world, which is really crazy. Huge improvements Berserk has made, so congratulations also to the developers of the Berserk chess engine through this video. Great thing that they have done. So we're starting now the Premier Division with a beautiful game played by Stockfish against another top engine, Stoofvlees. The tempo of the TCEC competitions are of course 60 minutes on the clock plus 6 seconds increment per move, which is a great thing. That's why I call it simply the strongest chess tournament, because the engines have enough time to calculate. The engines are playing here the best, the optimal chess, simply with the best lines, opportunities, sidelines, variation, theoretical novelties, great tactics, immortal queen sacrifice, rook sacrifice, double attacks, decoys, deflection. So all of the elements that we love to see of course in the chess game. So let's see now with this game with the white pieces here. Stockfish open with the move d4. We have now the move d5 by Stoofvlees, c4, and now we have the Queen's Gambit declined, the so-called Marshall defense. And in my opinion, the Marshall defense can be played. It's not evaluated as an inaccuracy or something here that Stoofvlees is playing, but I simply don't like this opening, because in the beginning, instead of this move knight to f6, you can of course play the accepted Queen's Gambit, or you can maybe play the Queen's Gambit declined, but you have to, I think here, cover your d5 square with the pawn if you don't want to play the exchange, the Queen's Gambit accepted immediately. But if you play here with the move knight to f6 like Stoofvlees did, but we have to also mention that was a line that was prearranged by the organizer. I'm not sure how many engines would play the move knight to f6 in this particular position. After knight to f6, you see you're getting a little bit exposed. For instance, if you take here with the queen, then again knight to c3 will simply get an extra tempo against the queen. If you take like Stoofvlees did here with the knight, then you get an extra tempo again against the knight with the move e4. And what the problem also for black is here, after knight to b6, white is building simply this beautiful pawn-centric control, has now a powerful control of these 4 squares on the other side of the board of black's position here. So that's why I would not say that's the optimum way here to proceed. So there are better of course defenses against d4. So after knight to b6, knight to f3 here by the fish, bishop to g4, and now knight to c3. Normal development here by Stockfish. You cannot take, I think here immediately bishop takes f3, because it seems so maybe that white has to play g takes f3 because you want to have your protection of the d4 pawn. G takes f3 would cause of course many positional problems. You have a double pawn structure, you have f4 weak, g3 weak, h4 weak, too many square weaknesses also in the position. But actually white doesn't have to take the bishop with the pawn. White can continue with queen takes f3 here, and if queen to d4 happens, then knight to b5, simply hitting the pawn on c7. You could maybe try, I don't know, queen to b4, but we cover. You can maybe even take out this pawn, we attack the queen, we take the pawn, and the game is over. Here for black the rook is lost on a8. So in the beginning, instead of this move queen to b4, you can play queen to d7. But again, look at this. White continues the attacking flow. You have to play passive moves. We simply develop. You're trying maybe to develop a3, preventing bishop to b4. And now look at this. too many tactical options here for white. Rook to d1 is going to happen, attacking the queen. If you play, for instance, rook to d8, then we play bishop to e2, rook to d1, pawn on a7, as a7 is weak, still c7 is weak. So too many, again, positional problems here for black. So that's why here bishop takes f3 is actually not a good line here for black. So that's why for knight to c3, here Stoofvlees continues with e6. Here Stoofvlees didn't take out the knight. Stockfish continues with bishop to e3, protecting now the d4 pawn. Bishop to d6, h3, bishop takes, queen takes on f3, calcing, and now rook to d1. And you see now Stockfish has already a powerful position. First of all, the pawn central control, which has to be mentioned. Two pawns are very important here. They're restricting, of course, black's ability to play in the center. We have still the bishop here on the board. A rook is very active. Queen is already out. Bishop on f1 will eventually get a huge activity. So too many powerful elements, I think, in white's position. I think here white is much better. So after rook to d1, knight to d7, e5, bishop to b4, queen to g3. Huge threat, of course, bishop to h6 to somehow even deliver checkmate. In that scenario, you have to play g6, then the rook is lost. So that's why f5 by Stoofvlees. Now, after something like bishop to h6, you can cover with rook to f7. Stockfish continues with bishop to e2, knight to d5, bishop to d2. You could maybe try here f4. Seems tempting, but doesn't matter. We simply escape. And now, after something like, I don't know, knight to d5, this pawn is lost. So with this f4 move, you get just one attack, but now actually your pawn on f4 becomes a lonely pawn, a weak pawn in the continuation of the game. So here I've removed bishop to d2. That's why knight to b6, played by Stoofvlees. Stoofvlees is trying, of course, to get this knight on c3 and then also get this other knight here on d5. Stockfish continues with a3, kicks away the bishop. We have bishop, knight takes c3. We have now b takes c3. Good move here by Stockfish, allowing even bishop to a3. But look at this. After bishop to a3, Stockfish has now this powerful grip in the center of the board, has now good control, has now solid pawn structure, and the bishops are very dangerous here on this side of the board. Maybe later one of those rooks can be included. I don't know. f4 can be played, maybe an attack here on this side of the board. So again, too many options. White lost the pawn, but actually gains a huge activity now with the pieces. So that's what I like always about the Stockfish game. Stockfish never really counts material. Stockfish always plays for piece activity, improvements of the position of the minor pieces, getting them on the optimal squares, getting really beautiful formations. And when the formation is there, then of course Stockfish hits with immortal and great tactics all over the board. So after bishop to a3, Stockfish shows why it's important to have this pawn central control. Stockfish continues with an amazing c4. Great move. Look at this. If you play now queen to d4, then bishop to h6 wins the game immediately. The queen is lost, or you're getting checkmate. You can maybe try a check, but nothing gained here. King to f1. You have to escape with the queen, and then queen takes g7 is a checkmate. So this is not working. So after c4, we have bishop to b2. We have now bishop to f4, and again, it seems tempting, maybe bishop to play bishop to d4, but then again, bishop to h7. You have to play rook to f7. Now this other bishop is coming into the game. Look at this crazy position. You maybe try something like, I don't know, rook to e7 to escape. Then we simply play c5. Look at this. This would be an amazing move. Many of us, of course, would not see this tactical lines, but c5 is a great move because it's not allowing black to play the move c5 and connect the pawn to the bishop. Look at this. Now we can play after something like knight to c4. You cannot take here bishop to c5 because, of course, the queen is lost. But now you can maybe try here, as I said, knight to c4. But now we continue with bishop to g5. And the game should be over again here for black. So instead of this move, rook to e7, you could maybe try rook to d7, but it's even worse. So now the rook is overloaded here to the defense of the bishop and also to the g7 square. You hit, of course, here the piece. If rook takes d4 happens, of course, queen to g7 is again a checkmate. So look at this. Bishop to f4. Still, you cannot play queen to d4. You cannot play bishop to d4. Look at this. Bishop to d4 is really amazing because of this line. Bishop to h6, and now, as I said, bishop to h5, rook to e7, and now c5 would be an amazing tactical shot. So that's why after bishop to f4, Stoofvlees continues with queen to e7. Stockfish finally castles c5, and now d takes c5. This is a great move also by the fish. You could maybe try d5, seems tempting, but actually you're allowing here maybe black to regroup. You're allowing here black to activate the bishop on d4. The bishop would be supported by the pawn on c5. You have a powerful center still on the board, but I think black is getting out of this mess. The queen is finally connected to the square g7. Here has a good protection on the 7th rank, so not the optimal way here to proceed for white. So that's why after move c5, Stockfish finds the best line. We have d takes c5, again deflecting the queen from the defense of the g7 square, which is very, very important. Although this pawn is weak, but Stockfish is saying, I always want to have my activity here. I don't want to have a static position, a blocked out position. So after queen to c5, Stockfish continues with rook to d2. We have queen to a3, rook to d3, attacking the queen, queen to a5. Black, I think, in this position would love to simplify the game, to trade off even the queens off the board. If the queens are off the board, then the position is not so dangerous, and black could rely maybe here on this passer on the a file in a potential endgame. So that's why Stockfish has to keep the pieces on the board. So after queen to f5, we have rook from f to d1. Stockfish, as I mentioned also in the middle of this video, is building this attacking formation. Stockfish is hoping now to have a huge activity, and what Stockfish is trying, of course, to do is to get one of those rooks, of course, on the 7th rank, and then to deliver again checkmate on g7. That's why you cannot play here knight to c4. Stockfish, of course, sends that, because after rook to d7, you can maybe try bishop to e5. You can take another pawn, but look at this. Bishop to c4. You're trying maybe bishop to f4, but now suddenly the bishop gets deflected from the defense of the g7 square. So it's all about this idea. Stockfish has noticed, of course, the vulnerable square in black's defense. It's, of course, the g7 square. So we have now rook from a to c8. Stockfish continues with rook to d6, hits again at least one pawn here. At least Stockfish plays on the simple threat idea, keeps here black busy, keeps here black occupied. Black has to always find the best defensive solutions. We have now rook to c6. Stockfish continues now with another brilliant move. Maybe just for fun, if you like, pause the video and try to see now the optimal continuation here for white. I'm not saying this move is winning or something, but when you are on the attacking side, I think you have to always find the best, again, attacking solution, the best attacking move. So what would you do now in this particular position? So here Stockfish found an amazing c5. Great idea. Look at this. If you try here rook to c5, let's see now. If you play rook to c5, then the problem is now queen to b3, hitting simply the bishop and hitting also the weak pawn on e6. If you try knight to d5, seems tempting because you're locking now this diagonal and you're attacking also the bishop on f4. Then this one is working. Rook to d5, rook takes d5, and now we can finally take the bishop, and I think this is winning game for white with two bishop against one rook. This should be game over. After queen to c5, instead of rook to c5, again queen to b3. The bishop is hanging, you have to defend it, and now with queen to e6 again, I think the game should be lost here for black. So c5, great move here by the fish, again forcing a reaction of black's pieces. We have now knight to d5. Stockfish continues with rook to d7. We have now rook to f7, and now only when the rook is lined up like the king on light square, Stockfish plays the amazing rook takes d5. Really right stuff. Great attacking idea here by Stockfish, sacrificing the exchange. The knight was very powerful here in the center of the board. We have e takes d5, again queen to b3. We have g5 here by Stockfish, trying to somehow deflect these pieces from the attack, trying to get somehow a nice defensive setup, but it's not working. Stockfish continues with the counterattack. Bishop to h5. We have now rook to g7. Even if you try, I don't know, rook to d7 to get out of this mess, then here, look at this. Bishop to e8 is going to happen. You're trying maybe to somehow trade off the pieces. Okay, now we can trade. We can pick up this one, and again, the game is over here for black. You can maybe try g takes f4. We take. Now the rook is coming after a couple more moves. This pawn is lost. This pawn is lost. So in a potential endgame like this, again, I think white should be on the winning side. So look at this. After bishop to h5, Stockfish tried rook to g7. Stockfish continues with bishop to d2. Again, a new attack. Queen to a3. Black is desperately trying now to simplify the game by trading off the queens. But of course, Stockfish plays now queen to d5, king to h8. Look at this. Bishop to f7. And now the threat is, of course, e6, e7 and then e8, the promotion. That's now the main issue here for black. In the game h6, creating some breathing spaces for the king, but Stockfish continues with his plan. E6, bishop to f6, queen to f5, hitting the bishop. Here, Stoofvlees has to now defend his position, and now bishop to e3, protecting now also this pawn, liberating some here files for the rook. So the optimal position here for white. We have b6, we have e7, great move here by Stockfish. After bishop to e7, Stockfish noticed now this idea, bishop to d4, great idea. What should you do? If you play here queen to d4, then of course we simply pick up the queen. You can take out this one, we attack in again. White should be of course completely winning here. So after bishop to d4, queen to e2 was now Stoofvlees continuation. We have now bishop to b3, protecting now the rook, but of course keeping here this bishop attack against this rook on g7. We have rook to e6, now we have queen to f7. Look at this, how Stockfish continues the pressure. Rook to e5, Stockfish finally takes, queen to e5, and now a brilliant move again, queen to e8, king to h7, bishop to c2. Stockfish exposes the light square problems of blacks here. Rook to g6, queen takes g6, king to h6, and now after queen to h7, it was a brilliant checkmate here by Stockfish 16. So okay, as a warm-up of this Premier Division of the TCEC Season 26, I think it's a great game. I still have to show you the amazing game in which Lila C0 won with the black pieces. It was a tough game that lasted for 130 moves. It's really a crazy game. Check it out. The link to this tournament is the first thing that you see in the description below. Maybe you can download some other games, analyze them, have fun. These are really great games. So as I said, this will be a tough tournament for both of these top engines, Stockfish and Lila C0. We can expect in the super final for sure. Who knows? Maybe Lila C0 can finally dethrone the Stockfish engine, but you see the fish is playing great chess. Lila C0 is playing great chess. It will be an amazing final for us to follow for sure. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this great game played by Stockfish with the white pieces against the Queen's Gambit Decline Marshall defense. If you want to see some other top engine games, check out our commented chess games played by computer series. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.